So I have a couple, I got to figure out, I'm just not comfortable in this position. It's just a weird, why can't I? Hang on. Lindsay, does it not look like I'm all crooked, even though I'm staring straight at my computer? So weird.
Even a little,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let me go, hang on. This is kind of the shit. Well, I guess who cares? It's just a casual show. Brian,
How are we doing?
what's up, dear? What's up, Bullish? You are
Another day.
You're part of the Matrix, everybody. It is July, halfway through 2020. I'm here with my puppy, and find myself with a lot of spare time. And my friends at Bullish, Brian Hanley and Jordan, they are helping me experiment with video, taking the social leverage and panic with friends idea and trying to create 10 to 20 minutes of content very focused on people who love stocks and momentum and love talking about the markets. I have a very narrow view, Brian, of how I consume the markets. And I feel that COVID has kind of accelerated so many trends in the financial technology space. So I appreciate you guys helping me do this. I've got a very simple format for this. Tell me quickly a little bit about Bullish.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Brian. I'm the founder of Bullish. And what Bullish is a conversation about money, whether it's investing money, making more money, helping you earn more in a way that's right for you. And what we're looking to do is partner with folks like Howard to help expand creators' voices through video, through social, through new media. Jordan and I both used to work over at Vice, so we know a thing or two about content and storytelling, and we're looking to bring that to the financial world. So we're excited to jump in.
You created this Ripper list based on how I talk about the markets. You very very avocado munching name for my momentum. Social meets price momentum, and so we're trying to give people a flavor when we go live of like the heat. What people are really zoned in on, and in a world of StockTwits, Reddit, Tencent, WeChat, Robinhood, Twitter, Snapchat, ideas are flying around at warp speed. Money is flying around. Ideas and money are very connected. It's flying around at warp speed. And you put that combination together and you got a lot of rippers. Right? You have a lot of disasters, but I focus on rippers, or what I call, I don't know what I call it. Rippers is a pretty good name, guys. And so what we're going to do quickly is maybe a story or two a day that upsets me or really tries to capture the essence of panic, fear, momentum, relative strength, to give people a flavor of where money is flowing. And in a world of easy money, this could go on for a very long time. It's not easy. This show won't be for everybody, but this show is mainly for me. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. So this is the Rippers, where we'll always end with trying to give people a flavor of the day, how people are thinking. And by thinking, meaning not just thinking at pushing buttons, spending their money, chatting, whittling, hoping, and it's amazing how this stuff works, everybody. And I think if you tune in to this show, Panic, you are going to get a feel. And maybe we can help you make a little bit of extra money, or maybe we can just help you invest for profit and choice. A couple stories that I wanted to get into that you guys framed for me. If you're going to talk about momentum in 2020 and froth and sentiment, it's my dog, Lindsay. I try and use Twitter and StockTwits to really get a pulse of like what the vibe is. People wonder why I tweet so much or use StockTwits so much. Is because I have a following that allows me to kind of votes on what, testing ideas and see what the consciousness is about, right? Like, and right now it's about, people have a lot of money and time, and SPACs, special purpose I don't even know what the acquisition corp, but really they're special purpose vehicles. And forever, these were kind of scammy ways to, I hate using the word scam, creative ways to get companies and money together and distribution. And in a world of infinite vision and cloud and markets and doppelgangers, where everything can go global and viral very quickly, SPACs are taking off. And it's interesting where what used to be a weird thing is now taken over the markets, because you have this weird point in time where all these people with tremendous vision and infinite scale at the same time have, in a period of infinite liquidity, it seems like. So of course, SPACs are cool. And then you have Robinhood and StockTwits, and you have stuff is getting discovered like in seconds, right? Obviously, putting a SPAC together like this one, which was the hot one of the day, SPAQ, I can't keep up, but it's quite easy to go to StockTwits in the morning and just look at the trending tickers. And it's not what it used to be. It used to be the S&P, it used to be Apple, it used to be Facebook. I'm waking up and just like surprised. It's like spinning a roulette wheel, and I'm learning so much every day, which scares people, which we'll get into, but it's also just tremendous opportunities. So you can spend 5 minutes a day on StockTwits and really get a pulse of this. And then, obviously Robinhood, which I'm an investor in and biased, full disclosure, has really captured everybody's imagination, good, bad, ugly, interesting, etc., because the markets are a giant behavioral machine. So SPAQ, sorry to go back, SPAQ is the Fisker SPAC, which I just found about this afternoon. And you can see the tweet I tweeted, and I think people thought I was being negative, that, Brian, with SPACs comes scams, comes all kinds of, do people know what they're owning? Because these are specially created vehicles for the purpose of buying an asset and then spinning it public. And so you can imagine in the old days, there was all kinds of characters in this business. And with this new bull market at boom, or whatever we're going to call it, frothy period, there's all this extra creativity unleashed. And tonight's special of the day is Fisker, rolling into a SPAC. It's gone viral from CNBC to Robinhood to Reddit to StockTwits to me and talking to you right here. And Capital, guy, an analyst, an anonymous guy that I talk to all the time and invest with, he sums it up there in that tweet. Like, this is not good or bad. He's just saying this is this is like how creative you can get out there. So expect more of this. Look how fast the amount of people that own this here is. You don't need to do an IPO if 100,000 shareholders can quickly start talking and speculating and trading your stock. So expect more of this. Don't, you can hang on it, you can play with it, you can just watch like I do and just try and think through what it means for the rest of the world. That's kind of how I think of it. Does that make sense at all to you, Brian?
Yeah, and it's even funny to see that Goldman Sachs is actually next in line. So more people on Robinhood own this SPAC than Goldman Sachs. I think that says a lot, especially as this SPAC.
That was today?
Along. Yeah, well, so this is looking at like
Sachs?
SPAC is the 496th most owned ticker on Robinhood, and Goldman is one slot below them of all time.
That's a really interesting point, Brian. That sums up where we're at. You needed Goldman, just 10, 12 years ago. If you didn't have the stamp of approval from Goldman, and 20 years ago, Abby Joseph Cohen, who made predictions about the S&P. And today it's Robintrack as a one-person company, pulling the data from Robinhood and displaying it in a very simple way, and it's captured the imagination. I could be mad about it. StockTwits has the same type of sentiment, but you can also just have to marvel that a couple of people can put together the data that has the world staring at it, and it's such a simple piece of data. It almost means nothing, but it also means everything. If you look at the data like you just did, Brian, and said, in a way, people are thinking about SPAQ more than Goldman Sachs. You know what I mean? That was a work from home moment there below. Everybody's working from home. So fasten your seatbelts. This is kind of what panic now is about, And so I call this era frothy. It's not good, bad. It's frothy. When something can capture the imagination, there's a tremendous amount of risk involved with this stuff, and I think young people forget. Which brings us to quickly to the next story, which is a bone of contention quickly for me, which is not that Robinhood should get bad press, because that's the way the world works. America likes to build up and take down things, but I have a real problem with the headline, and look at the way they frame the story, that Robinhood has lured young traders. And my problem with the story is it's terrible. It's a terrible hit piece, in my opinion. But if you look at the headline, that's not the way the New York Times used to write headlines, right? That's not the way media used to work. Nobody's lured anybody. People are adults that sign up for these brokerage accounts in 1999 with E-Trade and Schwab and Daytech and the silly commercials that they had and get rich quick stuff. Robinhood does not do any of that. Robinhood has replaced all that marketing and waste and sex with a UI and passed on a ton of savings to their customer. Now, with that comes tragic events like we're reading about, where adults do stupid things with their money. So I think that's the real story. And it bugs me that people don't get that. Robinhood's not going to go away. Reddit, StockTwits, we're not going anywhere. We're growing. And so the real issue is, how do we educate people like with stuff like this? Bad things are going to happen, with guns, with trading, with sugar, and so it's a really devastating story, lost in a headline, because Robinhood's not luring people. Is the design perfect? Is it made to gamify? Yeah, I think so. I love it though, and I'm supposedly a professional. So I think it's not going away. Robinhood will have to get better at educating. But the same thing happened with Uber. The same thing happens with food delivery. We live in an era where this stuff just happens, and it's really tragic that some adults have, terrible things happen to them and families, et cetera. So please, everybody, these are wonderful tools, but they are not for everybody, and they're to be very carefully, managed. I think those are the stories getting lost here. We need to use these moments to educate people about this is not all fun and games. This is real money. And, it's only going to get easier to onboard people in this next era. So, this is, I think, why people distrust the media at the wrong time, because, I joked, unfortunately, that New York Times lured me into wasting a day and taking tons of silly questions when the real tragic story is getting lost. That we got to educate people here. So let's move to the Ripper list. So in a world where Robinhood's going to exist, StockTwits going to exist, SPACs are going to exist, easy money exists, free time is at a premium, and people are staring at their screens. You can avoid it, but if you'd like this show, we want to kind of hone in right now on what's happening. And as frosty as I say this is, there are some great companies just showing up on the Ripper list today, right? Tencent, love it, I own it. Docusign, seems like everybody now owns it. We all use it. If you've done anything over the last 4 months which needs a signature, you've got Docusign. No one thought it could be this big a business. ZScaler is NetEase is a Chinese company. Livongo. I mean, these are all names that have been bandied about. So as frothy as I feel the environment is, it's a pretty interesting list, right? There's Fiverr is kind of like a new Craigslist for odd jobs. Wow, So one thing I like to do, Brian, in looking at this list, it kind of helps me. This is the hottest stocks that are, and you can just see the industry. You can, after looking at these things for 6-7 months. This is not an overnight thing where you learn this, but after looking at these kind of Ripper lists, these momentum lists for 6-7 months, sometimes for people 6-7 weeks, but over time you start to get a real feel for where money is flowing. And that's why I like to keep my list very lean and really kind of think of how the world's thinking. This is where the money is going. Like it or not, this is where the money is going. And right now, as frothy as the market is, these are some great companies on the list. Are they overvalued or undervalued? I don't know, but there's massive liquidity and there's massive global attention here. On the right-hand side, Brian, you see the StockTwits followers. What I really like to do is look for stocks that have massive amount of price momentum and followed on Robinhood, owned on Robinhood, but have very little social following. So I really like to get a feel for companies that I've never heard of. Dada, Nexus Limited. So to me, I get more interested, or OneConnect Financial Technology, or Livongo. Most people haven't heard of it, or New Oriental Education and Technology. I want to find companies that no one on stock, meaning they have very strong price momentum, and which means institutions own them. But StockTwits people who are really, they're pretty fast followers. They're very, pilot fish to the great white sharks. Yet 700 people are only following Dada Nexus Limited, and only 318 people are following OCFT. So that's where I start my day. Is I wanted, I knew that Docusign was doing well and Fastly is doing well. So these lists helps me quickly when I wake up, just kind of see if there's something there that I missed, or if this is the beginning of something new. Because if this is going to be on its way, if we go back to the list, and if this is going to be on its way to having 50,000, being the next Netflix and having 50,000 followers, who cares where the price is today? This is going to be a much bigger company before that. So hopefully that helps explain the list. Brian, do you understand?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I love seeing the StockTwits followers. I mean, the diversity of companies here with where the attention is very interesting. I mean, the Fiverr one is very interesting to me because I think there's a whole world there with them at Upwork yeah. And if you look at their stock before COVID, it was a dud, and now it's I think 300x or something. It's insane. So these lists help kind of identify these opportunities that, obviously freelance work companies are taking off.
It's like, in hindsight, a no-brainer. But the question that people have to understand when they look at the Ripper list is this the end of the no-brainer, or the beginning, or the middle? We can't promise to find that. But when you just see how few followers, right? And so once you start combining the StockTwits followers with price, and then with the Robinhood, who owns what, you can kind of get a gauge for how frothy things are relative. Who cares what's happening on Wall Street Journal and CNBC? It's going to take them years to catch up with what we're doing here today. That's not a brag. That's just the way it is, man. Like, people continue to make fun of us that are on the bleeding edge of this stuff. And we're not smarter than anybody else. We're just playing a little bit further ahead on the curve. And so it just sounds stupid a lot of the time. But I can rest assured that this stuff works. It's not like anything. It's not perfect, and it's risky, and you have to apply proper money management. But you can really confine your work on the markets to a couple things, and that's what this show is about. When we feel like doing it, it's just helping people 5, 10, 20 minutes when we feel like it, kind of compartmentalize momentum and compartmentalize how social and price are working together. So thanks, everybody. I hope you do the show. Where are we going to find the show, Brian?
The internet, your Twitter, YouTube, bullish.news, everywhere you are, we'll be there. Yeah, and I think what I'm excited about, and I think I came across Rafa, 3-4 years ago when I started riding again, and I was a big Lulu fan forever, and a big Nike fan. And I really believe fashion and technology, where they meet and converge on lifestyle. And I think that's coming to the investing world. What Rafa did for cycling, someone's going to do, whether it's Bullish or StockTwits or Robinhood or some Rally Road or some of the other companies that we'll talk about in the private markets. We're going to see a lifestyle brand in the investing world kind of take off. And so if you think like that, hopefully the show's for you. That's kind of what this whole thing is for, is to help these people band together and kind of will ourselves into the future and make a few bucks along the way. And
make this a regular thing.
Thanks a lot, Howard. See you soon.